Good day everyone. We are the group 3. So today we will present to you okay. The novel of To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper.
Let's start first with the author.
Now, who is Harper Lee?
Harper Lee was born on April 28, 1926 in Monroeville, Alabama. Harper Lee's parents were Amasa Coleman Lee and Frances Finch Lee. She had two sisters, Alice and Louis, and one brother, Edwin. Lee was also childhood friends with Truman Capote, the famous author that wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's and many other famous books. After attending university at the University of Alabama, Lee studied law for a few years but dropped out because she hated it. Then she moved to New York in 1950, and while working many odd jobs, she wrote the manuscript for the novel. She submitted the manuscript to a publishing company originally as a short story, but it was later finally published as a staff novel in 1960. To Kill a Mockingbird won the Pulitzer Prize in 1961 and later then received a film adaptation in 1962, which starred Gregory Peck. After the early 1960s, Harper Lee shielded herself of the spotlight and led more of a private life. Awards won for the novel: Pulitzer Prize 1961, Brotherhood Award of National Conference of Christians and Jews 1961, Alabama Library Association Award 1961, Bestsellers Paperback of the Year Awards 1962, Best Novel of the Century, Library Journal 1999, Alabama Humanities Award 2002, Attorney Award Spector Gordon and Rosen Foundation 2005, Los Angeles Public Library Literary Award 2005. One of her greatest accomplishments was that she was awarded with the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2007.
Main characters of How to Kill a Mockingbird. Scout Finch, the narrator and protagonist of the story. Jean Louise Scout Finch lives with her father, Atticus, her brother Jem, and their black cook, California, in Macomb. She is intelligent and by the standards of her time and place, a tomboy. Atticus Finch, Scout and Jem's father, a lawyer in Macomb, descended from an old local family, a widower with a dry sense of humor. At least is entitled in his children is committed to racial equality. Jem Finch, Scout's brother and constant playmate at the beginning of the story. Jeremy Atticus Jem Finch is something of a typical American boy, refusing to back down from theirs and fantasizing about playing football, 4 years older than Scout. California, the Finch's black cook. California is a stern disciplinarian and the children's bridge between the white world and her own black community. Arthur Boo Radley, the recluse who never sets foot outside this house. Boo dominates the imaginations of Jem, Scout, and Dill. He is a powerful symbol of goodness, sweatered in an initial shroud of creepiness. Charles Baker Dill Harris, Jem and Scout's summer neighbor and friend. Dill is a diminutive, confident boy with an active imagination. He becomes fascinated with Boo Radley and represents the perspective of childhood innocence throughout the novel. Tom Robinson, the black field hand accused of rape. Tom is one of the novel's mockingbirds, an important symbol of innocence destroyed by evil. Mayela Ewell, Bob Ewell's abused, lonely, unhappy daughter. True, one can pity Mayela because of her overbearing father. One cannot her for her shameful indictment of Tom Robinson.
In the year 1933, in 1935 in Macomb, Alabama. First, what is a mockingbird?
Mockingbird, a long-tailed thrush-like songbird with grayish plumage found mainly in tropical America and noted for its mimicry of the calls and songs of other birds. Macomb, Alabama, the small sleepy town in the deep south. Scout's father Atticus is a lawyer, but they don't have much money because his clients are poor. They live with their father, her brother Jem, and their cook Calpurnia. Her mother's dead. During summers, a friend named Dill comes to stay next door, and he spends the summer playing with Scout and Jem. Scout basically learns four major lessons over the course of the book. She learns partly from her experience. The first lesson is that you don't understand someone until you put yourself in their shoes. She takes a while to master this one in the storyline. For the first part of the book, mostly shows he's getting it wrong.
Across the street, from where Scott lives in the Radley house, the family that lives in is a very unsocial. His son's Arthur Radley is a man, he's 30, who's been since outside in many years. The children in the town reads to the author of Boo Radley, as if he is a ghost. They have the horrible picture of what his works like. He eats rodents and cats that he catches, that he's ugly and drooling, that he kills any child he catches. In the real story of the author Radley is that he is got trouble with the law for being the bit wild and disorderly when he's teenager. His father never let him out of the house against how his father did and lives with older brother.
Scott and Jem and Dill play game involving the house. They run, pass it, they dare each other touch, and then one day start finding presents like gum and pennies hidden in a hole in a tree. Boo Radley is leaving gifts for them. Throughout, it takes a long time for them to realize it makes seems to get Boo Radley to come out of the house so they can see him. One night, they sneak around to the back of the house to try to get look at him throughout the window, and they get shot at by the older brother. Then Jem gets his pants caught in fence. Boo Radley fixes them and leaves the out for Jem. One night when it's very cold and Scott and Jem are standing outside because one of the neighbors houses is on fire. Boo Radley puts a blanket around Scott. She never even realized it. She still imagines really Terry, and she freaks out when she realized he was behind her. So over the course of the year, the gradually realize is actually nice, but more slowly than we do. The second important lesson in the book is that you don't kill a mockingbird in this lesson as a literal meaning. When Atticus gives the kids air rifles, they're allowed to shoot whatever birds they want, but not mockingbirds, because mockingbirds don't eat anyone's plant or harm anything. All they do is make music. Mockingbird has a metaphorical meaning to anyone who is weak or defenseless to kill a mockingbird, and that since is to take advantage of someone weaker than you. The second piece of the book involves Tom Robinson. He's a black man who has been arrested and charged with raping white woman named Michaela Ewell. Atticus Finch has been appointed as his defense attorney, and he's determined to do a good job at it, even thought he knows he's going to lose because of racism. Everybody in the town is racist to one degree or other, and Scott and Jem word up getting teased and talked about because their father defending a black man for a crime like the Atticus doesn't want them to fight the other kids but to try keep calm and keep their heads up in the face of adversity. He wants to teach them the lesson that true bravery is when you keep fighting and preserving even when you know you can't win.
One evening, Tom Robinson is being moved to the county jail before his trial, and Atticus sits outside the door of the jailhouse with his chair dropped against the door. A group of men comes to lynch Tom and Atticus blocks their way. Scout and Jem and Bill come looking for Atticus, and Scout starts talking to one of the men because she's going to school with his son. The man tells the rest of the mob, "Do this first," and they all go home. Scout and Jem sit in the courthouse and watch the trial, along with the rest of the town. Atticus does a great job with his defense, and the children thinks he's going to win. For one thing, Myla Ewell, the victim, and her father Bob Ewell, the other witness for the prosecution, are both obnoxious and don't seem very trustworthy. Also, the physical evidence is against them. Myla Ewell's bruises are on the right side of her face, and Tom can even use his left arm, but Bob Ewell is left-handed. He could have beaten his daughter. Then Tom tells a convincing story on the witness stand that Myla Ewell tried to seduce him, and that Bob Ewell caught her and beat her up, and she accused Tom of rape. Last, despite Atticus' brilliant defense, the jury convicts Tom because a wild jury is not going to acquit a black man accused of raping a white woman. The children are crushed by Tom's conviction. As Atticus know all along they would be in one dramatic moment to learn about the evil.
The side of their whole community and the fact that even the justice system is trained by unfairless Bob Ewell carries a grudge against Atticus for making a fool of him, and he threatens to get revenge on Halloween. Scout and Jem are coming home in the dark from a pageant. Ewell attacks them with a switchblade and tries to kill them. He breaks Jem's arm by twisting it. Bradley hears their cries and comes out of his house and kills Bob Ewell with a kitchen knife. The German scout don't actually understand this is happening at the time because of the sheriff. Atticus discuss what to do about Bob Ewell's death. Atticus wants to say that Jem killed in self-defense so he can clear his name publicity and there won't be any rumors that they convert it up. The sheriff says no way Jem couldn't possible have done it. The sheriff insists that their story will be the Bob Ewell trip on the route and fell on his own knife. The reason the sheriff sticks to this story is that he knows Arthur Radley must have killed Ewell, and even though he doesn't think this is a crime, he even thinks the town would treat him like a hero and leaves cake on his porch. He knows that this amount of public attention would be devastating to recluse like Arthur. Since Arthur saves the children's lives, the best reward is to let him keep his privacy. Atticus is afraid to do this because his children have just lived through his miscarriage of justice in the trial, and if they see Atticus is bending the law because of his association with the sheriff, he fears they won't ever respect him again. But Scout tells Atticus that she understands making a hero out of Boo would be like killing a mockingbird. That's a climactic moment in the book because it means she has absorbed the lesson about mockingbirds despite having seen the unfairness of the life. She sees its value as well. Arthur is actually very childlike himself and there's a scene as asks Scout to walk him across the street back to his house because he's afraid after she does so she looks out from the Radley portion image all of her own activities over the past couple of years has see through Arthur's eyes that when she finally grabs the first lesson about understanding people by putting in their shoes.